in a lot different position than Barack Obama did. We started off at 3% in the polls nationally. And by the way, not that we want to get hung up on polls which go up and down or right or wrong, but that extraordinary news organization, Fox, what was the last poll you had?
Which one, sir?
Last one you had was Sanders actually leading. There was another poll that had me a little bit. See, I think Fox there it is, brilliant.
You answer my question.
There you go. One second. All right, but my point is, this is my point. Look, if you want to compare our campaign to Barack Obama ran a brilliant campaign. I think we're doing really well. I think we have come a long, long way. When we are now in the lead in some national polls, when we were 50 points behind, and when not one person in this room thought we were a serious candidate back then, I think we have made real progress. But I'm the first to admit Obama ran an unbelievable campaign in 2008. Maybe we can't run as extraordinary campaign, but we are doing very, very well. Yes. Hold it. Yes, ma'am.
But there are a number of people right now who say the math just doesn't add up for you moving forward. How do you think you can win this nomination?
By getting more delegates. You ready for this one? The answer is by getting more delegates than my opponent. Now, I'm pretty good in arithmetic, and I can add, all right? On Super Tuesday, they're going to be, what is it, who knows the answer, about 1,000? 80. You know what? We're going to win a lot of them.
How many? What's your prediction?
Well, I think we're going to win 398.4. How do I know? That's what, you see, this is, let me get back. You know, sometimes I have been known to be critical of the media, right? Once or twice. Here we are talking about children in South Carolina and in America, in the wealthiest country in the world who have nothing. And you're asking me to predict to you how many votes I'm going to get in 12 states. You know what? I don't know. Nor do you, nor does anybody else. I will tell you the answer to that on Wednesday. How's that?
Senator,
Yes, ma'am, right in the back there. Yes.
You've said that investigations of police killings should be handed over to the Justice Department, and they've begun a pilot program where they can track officer-involved deaths, something that would previously only be done by media outlets like The Guardian. But such information remains voluntary. Do you think that police departments should be mandated to report
Yes.
the federal government when they kill Americans? And
Well,
do you support pending
let's rephrase it. When you've made a judgment, they kill. But when individuals die under police apprehension or police custody, should that be mandatory? Yes, I do believe that.
Would you support pending legislation?
Pardon me?
Would you support legislation?
Yes. Yeah.
Senator?
Okay. Yeah.
Senator, in the event that this math does not eventually add up for you, and you do continue to...
And your concern is about poverty in South Carolina. Was that your question? Is that where you're going?
I'm going to follow up with a poverty question, but first I just want to say, well, and you could answer it this way. What would your priorities be? You're going to have significant delegate support walking into the Democratic convention.
My priorities are to win the Democratic,
Party at the convention.
to nominate Bernie Sanders as president. You know, look. Let me rephrase it again, okay? When we began this campaign, essentially, it was almost believed by most that Secretary Clinton was the inevitable candidate. She is not the inevitable candidate now. I think we've got a real shot to win it. And what I would ask of the media is not to look at it state by state. You know, we're going to win some states. We're going to lose some states. It is necessary to get 2,400 delegates. We're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. Secretary Clinton will have good days and bad days. But let's kind of look at the long-term thing. We have momentum. And if you want, again, I don't want to stress polls too much. I'm not a great believer in them. But look at the polls and state by state. You know what you're seeing? The gaps are narrowing. Clinton's still in the lead. Her lead is narrower. We think we have momentum, and momentum is very important. So I think we are on a path toward victory. It's a tough fight. And let me tell you something. If we win this, it will probably be the biggest upset in the history of America. The gentleman in the back there, sir.
Senator, two questions, just a fact check real quick. Mrs. Clinton, Secretary Clinton was First Lady back in 1996.
Yes, correct.
So is there substantiation for the notion that she actually rounded up votes?
Yes.
And the second question, I think...
In other words, what I'm saying is she was active on this issue. You're right, she was First Lady.
All right. And to this issue of economics in South Carolina, just sort of directly, this has come up many times, but could you just sort of directly address your view of racism as a byproduct of economics, or do you see racism as an issue that's cultural and needs to be dealt with in a cultural
Well,
way?
let me talk about South Carolina and just say one thing. I'm on the committee that wrote the Affordable Care Act. Okay. And I can tell you, to the best of my memory, there was not any discussion on that committee, and we had dozens of meetings, about states not taking advantage of their ability to expand Medicaid that we gave them. And it was shocking to me, not just in South Carolina, but other states. How many folks, hundreds of thousands of people now, who could get health care, who are not getting health care in South Carolina simply because of ideological reasons. They are black and they are white, who are not getting health care. Some of them will certainly die and be much sicker than they would have been. And let me just answer your question by saying this. I know I always get nervous because I date myself when saying this. I was there at the March on Washington in 1963 with Dr. King. And do you remember what the full title of that march was? It was called the March for Jobs and Freedom. Jobs and freedom. In other words, what Dr. King understood is that to be fully human, you had to have a decent income, you had to have employment. Not to mention that we have to break down the barriers of racism and bigotry, both. All right, thank you all so much.